Boom. We're live. We're doing it live. Welcome to Post Zero, the best show on the internet, the most red pill switched on, matrix avoiding, manosphere podcast, holding bitches accountable, throwing them off. We're here.
Yeah.
Gentlemen,
Yo.
how have you been?
Seems like
I
we've
can't complain, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Guys have been
complain.
traveling, guys have been lifting, guys have been, making some money and banging some hoes. I guess all of us have been having a great time.
Basically, our life is a Ryan Gosling edit from Blade Runner, so it's pretty
I'm
interesting.
just-
That's all our lives. We're just all in an edit right now.
We still need to do the Kenergy podcast where we all dress up as one of the Kens.
Oh man, that was my costume for Halloween this year. I put it in the chat for you guys
Fucking
a while
Asian
back.
Ken.
But
Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
to see more pictures of that. Like,
But it's like there is a black Ken, and he kind of looks like a wimp. Where I go, kind of like, oh, man,
Whoa.
that's not Nuke. Oh, come on.
no,
You
I'm like Jungle Ken. I'd be like Jungle Ken or something like that.
fascinating.
Yeah,
You Barbie, me Ken.
yeah, I'd have like a
Seriously?
banana, like a thing of bananas and a machete. That would be my.
That is the one character Disney will not race swap. And we're already in. Dante today had a topic that is about 0 to 1. Dante, go ahead. Please explain to the guys what you want to
Okay.
talk.
Okay, so right now I'm reading a book called 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. It's basically how to create new technologies, new businesses. The thing, though, is a lot of the stuff I'm reading on that seems to parallel a lot with how to get a guy from no lays, incel, no prospects to his first lay. So what I want to talk about here is I want to ask the panel what they think a guy should do, what they've done to get from that 0th lay to their first.
Well, who wants to start?
Well, I guess we could just go around clockwise here, make it easiest. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, what's the first thing that everybody always says? You should be lifting. And why do we say you guys should go and lift?
That's easy. That is the one activity you can do for yourself, by yourself, to improve yourself.
Well, yeah, it's like if you-
mentally, physically, spiritually.
Well, yeah, it's like if you can't do the bare minimum, then what else is any of the other work going to, actually fix in your life? If you can't find the time for a couple hours a week or go to the gym and get yourself in decent shape, and get yourself into a routine, then nothing else that we say about, enforcing boundaries or making cold approaches or how to talk to people, none of that's going to actually work. So that's rule number 1, right?
Mm-hmm. Rule number 2 for you?
For me, it's just talking to people. Like what I always said is like, if you're struggling, like the easiest way to do it would be to talk to people who are already social for their jobs. It doesn't even have to be in like a flirtatious manner, like a waiter or a waitress or a cashier or like at the grocery store, the bag lady at the grocery store or something like that. You just need to be comfortable with talking to strangers to start off,
Mhm.
and then maybe you can escalate it into the future, talking to, somebody at a bar or, you're out on a walk or whatever it is, but you got to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Fair point. Nuke just left us again.
Yeah,
Fortunately,
he
let's
was
hope
bored.
it's- Yeah, he was bored. He's like, man, I'm done with this. Like, I've done all of this already. It's like,
I've
yeah.
got Tadashi over here and 2 women tied up in the next room over waiting for
And
me.
Final
so-
Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Nuke, what would your advice be?
I always go through the mental model part of it. I just say, get over yourself. You're not like, who cares, dude? You got rejected by a girl. No, look around you. No one cares. You smashed a girl. Look around you. Still, no one cares. Only the internet. Who the people that discuss life and dating in the abstract are the only people that care. Their ego is invested in it. But I can tell you right now, no one really cares if you get rejected. No one. So first off, that's step 1. Realize that you have one life to live. You can go on the internet and look for answers from people that also are doing the same thing as you, sitting on their ass and waiting for life to give them what they deserve. Or you can go out and take it for yourself. It's all about action, like That's step one. And then I say step two is just forgive yourself and realize, like, hey, like you're doing the impossible, like going out and meeting women. How many people do you see? When was the last time you saw a dude go up to a girl and approach? Like, it's very rare, unless it's like a party where everyone's drunk and like, that you have that liquid courage. People aren't really socializing. Like, men to women are just in their own worlds. So once you break that barrier, and then after a while you get a little desensitized and you start getting better social skills, you're gonna realize like a lot of people just have a mental block in terms of talking to people, right? So yeah, just always just get over yourself. You ain't shit, and that's okay. You're gonna get rejected. You're gonna get rejected at every point of your life, whether you're 22 and have no skills, no social skills, or you're 35 and you're like top of your game. Some girls always gonna look at you as some kind of weird dork, and then there's gonna be girls that are just like, man, I hope he approaches me. I'm really attracted to this guy. So just numbers game. Don't take it so seriously. Don't take seriously what the gods made for fun.
Oh, I love
that line so much. I mean, to
Yeah.
piggyback off of that, I can speak to this from coming from like a TradCon background, as you guys know. And I think a huge, mental hurdle that guys like with my background run into is you're kind of fed this false idea from a young age that, the first woman you're ever going to meet is going to be your wife, and, the stars are going to align perfectly. And if you fuck it up, that's somehow an indictment on you. And they have this expectation like, oh, that's how my parents met. And that's how, my aunts and uncles met. And that's how everybody else met. When really, like, people tend to, romanticize, what actually happened. I mean, if you actually look back at it, your parents, everybody probably went through several, dating partners like over the years, and they probably had a lot of fuck ups and everything. And it could be tough for you guys getting over that mental block. Like, oh, if I fuck this up, this is somehow a, indictment on, my personal worth or my value or something like that. And it could be tough to break through. So you just have to, not punish yourself for making mistakes.
That's fair. Oh yeah, don't beat yourself up. Habibi, what are your thoughts on this?
Dude, just don't be a social retard. Like most of the guys said, just be social, learn how to speak to people. I've found out that, in a setting where there's alcohol involved, it's, much harder to talk to people. It's easier to get laid though, if there's alcohol involved, especially if you fit their, narrative or fantasy. That happened to me a few times on my trip. Surprisingly by taller women too. Like I was just
super nice.
the right
Hell
time
yeah.
in the right place. And yeah, dude, these chicks were Amazonians, dude, like German chick, Russian chick. They were like 6'3", 6'4". Like literally I had to, just to look up just to talk to them.
Climbing gear, man. You need that climbing
Oh,
gear.
dude, one of the best lines that I've used, like one of them, she told me, like, I'm taller than you. You don't mind that? I'm like, I told her I like climbing trees. And she just lost it, dude. She was
Amazing.
laughing. And, I literally had to kick her out at 6 a.m. because I wanted to sleep that night. But yeah, like, just don't be a retard. Learn how to talk to people like a normal human being. Don't be awkward. Be comfortable in speaking to people, especially women. They're not that scary. They're most likely scared as like more than you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, what I would like, these are all very valid points. These are all very, very valid points, and they sum up to a nice whole. But separately, they don't bring you from 0 to 1. So what I would say is, if you have an absolute 0, you have like an overweight social outcast who doesn't think shit of himself. And we're not even going to discuss the money and status. We're not going there even. First of all, I would say clean up your diet. That's the number one thing I would begin with. Where it's not even the lifting thing yet. It would be like, clean up your diet. Does your diet consist of like Cheeto dust and Mountain Dew? It's like, stop doing that. Just stop doing that. Get water in you. Get some protein, fats, and carbs in you. There's plenty of info on there on the internet, and if you need my help, you know where to find me. Shameless plug, I know. That's the number one step I would begin. But let's say then you're at 0.25 instead of at 1. Then you get to the physical activity. Not just lift, but if you live a sedentary lifestyle, go for walks, things like that. Like, build it up. So you've got the diet, then you go lifting and some low stress cardio, low intensity cardio. Then, of course, you get to 0.75. It's where you learn to socialize. I've always said this, and I will die on this hill. If you can't open the old man at the grocery store line, don't even try with a chick you think is hot. Don't even try. Learn to socialize with people you don't find attractive, but just learn the skill to be able to hold a conversation, to start a conversation, and most importantly, to end a conversation, because if you don't know that, things can get awkward.
Yeah,
And
it does.
and when you've built all those skills, then you're at 1. Like, you've cleaned up your diet, you've started to go to the gym, and you've started social interactions. At that point, you should be ready to at least get 1 lay in you, if you were, as Dante mentioned, the figuratively incel, so to say. Dante, what are your thoughts on that, hearing all this?
All right. So what everybody talked about basically summarized the 3 steps to how to get your startup its first customer. All right. Build a good product, launch as fast as you can, and talk to customers. So those are the 3 things. Those are the 3 things. And if you want to get more girls, just iterate that process. Talk to customers, develop your product even more, launch new features. That's how you get. But the problem is, a lot of guys will focus on one of those 3 things
instead of all 3.
So they'll focus on the product side. They'll focus on the gym part. They'll focus on becoming the chattiest chat of Chad, or like the most interesting man. But they don't talk to girls. Right? They don't talk to girls. They don't launch. And they're not paying attention to what girls respond to. And how you get there is be in shape enough, be interesting enough, go out as much as possible, and pay attention to what they respond to. How do you know what a good enough product is? You kind of have to, honestly, for me personally, is you have to launch very, very early as possible, prematurely even, and then watch for the feedback, and that will tell you how to get that cycle going. Because a lot of guys on the internet will oversell the red pill self-improvement program. A lot of guys will undersell it.
No, really? Come on.
The blue pill side of things will go, oh, you just need to be yourself. People will buy anything. No,
be yourself only works if you're worth a damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
if you're already interesting and your life is interesting, and you're doing fun stuff and you're fun to be around, that's when you can actually be yourself. But in the beginning, I mean, if you're boring and you have nothing going on in your life, you can't just be yourself, dude.
Yeah, pretty much. And but the key is that feedback loop, right? That cycle. But I think the thing I'd prioritize personally is the launching early and getting feedback from customers, getting feedback from girls, or basically watching what they do, because that will tell you all you need to know in order to improve yourself. You'll be surprised that you don't need to be jack ripped like Jack Napier is right now. You don't need to be as interesting as Red Hawk or Nuke. Like even if you're half as interesting, and you can just keep the minimum, you'll get by. Now, is that all you want to be? That's for you to say for yourself. Like one is not the only way. Like there's going from 0 to 1 and going from 1 to N, right? Where you get more women. But getting your first lay and figuring out how to get your first lay, you'll be surprised how low that bar is.
Yeah.
Focus on getting that first, and then you can figure out, okay, what sort of woman do I like? How do I get more girls? And then you can pick. So
yeah, no, pretty much. That's a good one. Early launch, where it's like, even though you're not fully ready, just go for it anyway. Hey, what happened? Nuke. No.
Right. So one of the things
They took them out.
One of the things that the old PUAs used to say is, even if you're not in shape, try going out anyway, because maybe you have enough game to, for girls to be interested enough for them to go back with you. You'll be surprised how many fat guys get laid.
Oh, dude, I've seen it happen. Like there was a couple of dudes who were, they had the V taper, they had the perfect bodies. I'm not in the perfect shape right now, but they had better bodies than me. But dude, like their notch count, and I've been talking to them, discussing all of this stuff. Their notch count was 0. For like one of them has been there for like 3 months, I think, and his notch count is 0. And the other guy maybe like 2 or 3, and he's been there for a month and a half, and that's very low numbers, for the place I was in.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing.
They looked good.
Ahead,
they had amazing body and everything, but they don't have any social skills.
Go ahead, chat. Okay.
Yeah, go.
So the interesting thing about that is that this is a mistake tech companies make all the time, which is they have a great product, but they don't talk to customers. And I'm surprised how common that is, even with dealing with chicks. Is that cool? You're the most interesting guy. You work at a very good company. You have a high position, a big company, but then you don't talk to girls on a regular basis. You don't flirt. You don't express your intent. You don't sell, and that will keep you from getting what you want. Because at the end of the day, you need to know what they want. You need to know how to sell, market yourself as well. That's also one of those things. And if you don't, then it won't happen for you no matter how good your product is. So that's a big mistake, and people need to realize that a lot of products never get to market because they don't launch, even if they're really, really good. Even if they had the best team, they had the best capability, they do all the best practices of engineering, but if they don't launch, they don't make money. So,
are you saying dating is almost like sales?
Yes, it absolutely is.
It is. You're selling yourself, you whore.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you were just describing right there, Dante, is like where the meme of like the gym cell comes from. Like the guy could be like super jacked, but if he just stays at home and is like very introverted all the time, nobody's going to know about you. Chicks aren't going to know about you. They're not going to come like knocking on your door, got to go out and actually sell yourself.
No, pretty much.
For God's sake, be interesting. Like there was one thing I pulled this trip because it was super fun to me, honestly, seeing people, how they react when they ask what I do for a living. You guys know what I do for a living, but I wanted to have fun with these people, so I told them like I get answers from people for a living, which is true. I'm not lying. I do get answers from people. The looks in their faces and the way that women reacted to that, it was amazing. It was priceless. Just learn to be interesting. You don't need to tell them like, oh hey, I work sales at X, Y, and Z. Like be at least a little bit creative. Have some sense of mystery to what you do.
I wouldn't even say be interesting. Now, hear me out on this one. What is the one thing people love to hear?
People talk about themselves.
Exactly. They love to hear their own name. The one who asks the questions is the one who leads the conversation. Learn to express interest is what I would say.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, it's normal social skills. Yeah, it's social skills. Like you need to understand that a lot of people really aren't used to talking about themselves. Once you do get them to open up about themselves, it makes the conversation so much easier. So, yeah, it's just like everything else in life. Social skills and game and women are skill. It's a skill, and you need to learn it and sharpen it and take notes and talk to other people about it, just like everything else. So treat it as such,
But
and don't.
Now that we brought it up, it is something I see a lot of when guys get into this space where they kind of miss the mark, where they don't have hobbies and shit like that. But I go kind of like, yeah, but do you even know how to strike up a conversation where she doesn't per se need to find you interesting, but she needs to have that sense of that you're interested. Where it's like, do you actually care about this person, or is this just another trophy? kind of thing, because that puts people off. I don't know about you guys, but I hate it when I like meet somebody new and the only thing they do is talk about themselves, where they try to prove themselves to me instead of actually having genuine interest in me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's why I had so much fun when I came and visited you, Jack, earlier this year. You know, like 6 or 7 months ago or whatever. Time flies, man. But yeah, I mean, we hit it off like right away. You know, I mean, obviously it was kind of easier because we were doing a show together for like a year before that. But you know, it was nice to, you know, shake hands, as it were.
Yeah, no, but absolutely. Like the person you're interacting with, like everybody who's here, it's like you are my guest first and foremost. It's like, what do you need? What do you want? I'll make it happen, kind of thing. And what a lot of guys tend to focus on is what can she do for me? Or sorry, what can I do? Now I'm fucking it up. Sorry about that. There goes the monetization, by the way. But it's that proving. It keeps being that proving. Like, I need to prove myself to them. I need to prove myself to them. Where it's like, yes and no, but what about her proving herself to you and you being able to show that interest that you want her to prove herself to you? Like, can you show genuine interest instead of just selling yourself? And I hope I formulated that right.
Yeah, I mean, that is just something that comes with time. Like, I don't think there's a playbook on social skills. I think it's more like, for me, it's just talk to people, and then really get out of your bubble in terms of who you are, what your life path is, realizing that everyone is on their own life path. Everyone is doing their own thing. So, you'd be surprised. You listen to some interesting people, interesting stories, and you'll learn something from people. And then realize too that you know, you're not that special. You know, you don't have to like walk around life waiting for someone to validate your life experiences and validate your problems and your career. Like, you don't need that. You know, there's people that really need that need to go through life and they're like, I'm a doctor, or I'm this, or I'm that. Meanwhile, you know, they're you know, if you go through life, you know, I think guys, you know, like for me, I had this exercise where like my job is boring. Don't talk about my job. My job is boring. Don't even, if they ask, like, I do this, and then like, but tell me more about your job, like, and then come up with genuine questions about their job. And then that's the hardest part, I think, is being genuine with people. You know, like I went on a date with a girl that's a flight attendant. Obviously, every week there's like a viral video about some shit that happens on a plane with some Karen or some flight. Exactly. And I said, hey, so how do you deal with that? And I learned so much about the airline industry and how they deal with these people. And then, you know, that was like 30-minute conversation on a date, just her talking about her job. Right. And it may be not the most interesting in the world, or may be, but like when you show genuine interest in something, people, their guard is like, it goes way down. It just drops. And then you realize this with women is that once their guard drops and you know, they turn to you. So like, tell me more about yourself. Tell me a story. And you just realize like she gave you a layup because now her guard is down. She's relaxed. You're not like the other guys that talk about how they're a lawyer or how they do this or how much money they have or where they live or whatever. You just said, well, you know, I have this little, and you have your interesting story. And then from there. So it may seem a little duplicitous, but hey, you know, like social skills, like everyone wants to be manipulated. They just want to be manipulated in the way they want. So work on that.
It's the same thing with making friends. Like, can you make friends? That's kind of like how this panel was born. Like, Nuke turned out was a huge anime fan. Immediately we clicked. It's like, he's a musician. He's an anime nerd. He lifts. I mean, perfect. Hawk,
but I still won't use kilometers, man. I still won't use kilometers. Sorry.
You'll get there. Just wait. I mean, Hawk, far right nationalist. We hit it off. Like, I don't like him either.
Far right nationalists. We hit it off. FBI,
I wonder why.
And we can hate on Mish together. It's like, stay out of our country.
Dante is the most far right nationalist right now. I think Dante's he's the undercover far right nationalist, you know.
Yeah, I send my Fed agents across the globe to infiltrate. incel ideas to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can somebody explain this to me? What happened with the whole incel is a Fed thing? What's about that?
So I think it's like I've dabbled in that stuff. Someone was telling me like the whole incel forum is backed by the American government or like the feds.
I mean, there's absolutely. I mean, there's feds everywhere. You know, whether
Yeah.
they're actually competent remains. You know, is the question. You know, I mean, have you seen like most government workers? You know, they're pretty bad at their jobs. But you know,
Hello, fellow citizens.
the jumbotron rule always applies, and that's just what I
Yep.
tell everybody. You know, don't be telling everything about yourself to some random anon, in a comment section or some bullshit. You know, just practice a little bit of OPSEC, please. You know.
So Jack brought up a good point right earlier. So expressing genuine interest in the girl is actually super important. Not because she deserves it.
And
quite
not
the
because she's
contrary.
interesting, because most of them aren't.
Yeah.
Continue, Dante.
It's so one of the biggest mistakes that startup people make when talking to customers is that they try to sell their product. They try to pigeonhole their product into the customer's needs. When the customer's problems aren't, they're sometimes not so straightforward. So what people say all the time in startups is be obsessed about the problem, meaning focus on the problem and then tailor your solution to that problem, rather than, saying I'm the greatest guy on earth. I went here and here and here, and this is why you should date me.
Secret King, the Secret King energy stuff.
Yeah. So that's not helpful. What's helpful is you're trying to know more about her. You're reacting to knowing about her. You're making it a fun experience. You're making her open up. You're making her feel like there's a connection between the two of you. In the startup world, you're making the customer feel that that their problems are being responded to, that their problems are being solved by your product, and that you actually care about their problem rather than doing a sales pitch. So it's a very, very key thing, and I didn't realize how the relationship between doing it for girls and doing it for startups.
Oh, there's a big example of that, like a real world example of that, of what you just mentioned, Panda, is for example, the video game Final Fantasy 14, which is a MMO. When it dropped, it had so many problems. And Final Fantasy is a big brand in the video game world. Like, they could just be like, screw you guys, it's the game, deal with it, we'll fix a little issues. But instead they said, oh crap, like, let's listen to every single problem, to every single customer that's paying money for us, and fix everything. And now they're beating World of Warcraft for the best MMO of all time. So it's like, if you just tailor your product the best you can to what people are responding to, you'll get results.
I love how you used Final Fantasy 14 as an example, because I love that game, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I've been through what you said.
We are all a bunch of nerds. By the way, the series finale for Attack on Titan just dropped, so that's available for people.
Yeah, and Invincible episode 1 just dropped, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Oh yeah, from season 2. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I saw that.
They're dropping him in Mortal Kombat this week too.
Nice. I still haven't played the new Super Mario. It's like, damn it.
Get on that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what Panda was like alluding to, is like, I would say in terms of women in game, like, a lot of guys, like you said, they build themselves up, and then they build this ego where it's like, if she doesn't like me, that's her problem, right? And I'm like, okay, well, first off, not every girl's gonna like you, so take into account that. But like, if it's been a while, you haven't been getting the women that you want, or the quality women you want, or any woman at all, then you need to start looking at yourself and like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Am I my social skills suck? Do I say this? Do I say that? Do I suck? Do I smell bad? Do I have bad breath? Any of these things, and you realize like you're gonna get over yourself, or you can be the secret king online that argues with people who are getting laid about, hey, I go live my life. I have a social life, and I have funnels to get women, whether it be dancing online or whatever. And then somebody will be like, oh, dating apps are gay, or dancing is gay. And I'm like, okay, dude.
What?
You get
spending
the
time with
worst.
women as a man is gay.
Nuke, I swear
No.
to God, Nuke gets the worst comments under everyone.
If she's
tweets, man.
if she's on top, that's gay. If
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah,
eating her out, that's gay.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's exactly what Don's saying. These guys build themselves up, and not only do they build themselves up, they're like asocial. So they build themselves up and what they think should be attractive. So I'm like, dude, what is attractive, right? If I go out to dance night and I'm dancing with a 6-foot Moldovan girl or whatever, a Latina, and she's attractive and she has her hands around my neck and she's laughing, that's not gay, dude. That's not gay. It takes balls. It takes practice to learn, and it's fun. I'm having a good time.
Choke
Like-
me, Svetlana.
Yeah, well, you know, please, but that's not the point. But the thing is that it's really easy to spot. It's really easy to spot when someone says, "I put in this work for my product," which is yourself, right? And it didn't get the response. It's their problem, and that's what we have with all these people that are just constantly complaining that women suck. They're the downfall of society. Blah blah blah. Like, if I meet an OnlyFans girl on a date, I'm gonna turn her down and walk away because my product isn't for you. And I'm like, dude, my dick is for every attractive girl who's nice to me on a date. Like,
Dude, only if they knew that I banged an OnlyFans chicks in Bali.
yeah, and it's like, dude, like, no one, like your father who probably went to church, probably, you know, was with a prostitute. He didn't even know. He was just like, oh, she told me afterwards, and I laughed it off. And then I went and met your mother, and I married her, and I had a nice Christian marriage, and I love you, son. And you're just like, I don't want this girl to touch my pee-pee. Like, I'm so pure. And I was like, dude, unless it's like, obviously, if it's against your religion, then I can't do anything about that because it's your faith. But other than that, dude, like, have fun, dude. You're a man. You're not gonna get tarnished. Your product isn't gonna get tarnished because somebody that you don't want buys it. It's still gonna make you money. So fuck it, you know.
Hey, some people don't like my audiobooks, to whom I say, screw you. But there are plenty of people who do like them.
So
Another plug.
Jack brought up a good point, which is not everybody's gonna like your product.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what people
Most people won't.
I mean,
most people won't.
Real quick, the idiots on Twitter who try to make fun of my looks, where it's like, haven't you seen how pretty I am? Do you really think? Do you really think you got me? You fucking moron. But go ahead.
Yeah. So what we call whenever somebody doesn't feel like the product is for them, we just say, hey, they're not an early adopter, is what we say. It's like, hey, they're not an early adopter. We have a bunch of customers that are really happy with our product, and we'll just focus on them and making them happy. So at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to make a product that makes everybody happy. You're going to at least at the start, you know, when you're going from 0 to 1, you're going to focus on like a very small niche. You're going to focus on a certain section of girls that are closer to what you're about, rather than, you know, focusing on the big pool of girls that everybody could, that the guy who, you know, who's really good at this could get. They can't. You have to figure out who you are, what kind of girls are more into the type of guy you are, and then start with that. And then once you've mastered that, once you've mastered the skills, maybe you can decide to diversify and say, hey, I can add this feature that targets this side of the market. That's kind of different from my current market right now. But that's later. That's from 1 to N. Let's focus on getting from no lays to your first lay.
So how do I target Twitter spurgs who hate Nuke?
No, if I can add to
Like in a good way, like
what he said.
to shit on them.
No. Maybe. As a
Maybe.
product, I want to
Maybe.
convince them that a good life is actually fun. Like that dancing with people is actually cool. How do I convince them?
Well, some
You
people
can't
be
fix
convinced.
stupid, like Ryan said, right?
Yeah,
but
There's a hole in the market, man. There's a hole in the market.
Go
yeah,
ahead.
but to add
Chad.
to what Dante said, I just want you, to put yourself in a woman's shoe. Like, imagine, just having a set of tits and a vagina. The amount of options you will get is close to infinite. like every guy will be hitting on you. They, like most men, they don't care about the way you look, how much you weigh. They just want to get laid. So not every girl is gonna, lay you between her, legs or whatever. Just think about that for a moment. And so it's gonna help you not to be too angry with women when they reject you. Once you reach a point where you can have your own preference and you can turn girls down, which I've done quite a few times. Like I discovered, like I'm not into blonde chicks, dude, or like white chicks. That's for personal reasons and hygiene reasons. I've turned so many of them
Holy
down.
shit.
Send
Yeah.
them my way.
Wow.
I'll pick up the
Wow.
slack.
Big
Yeah.
words.
With all the
from a-
blondes.
Big word
Yeah,
from
Red
Stan
Hawk and
fella.
Jack. Red Hawk and Jack will pick up the.
Yeah, I
slack.
mean, like honestly, I've turned like, I don't know, like half a dozen chicks in the trip,
Here.
just for the sole reason they were blonde, and they were white, like
Here,
too
Mish,
white for my own
Mish,
taste.
Mish, I have a girl for you.
Shots fired. Are we beefing right now? Yeah,
I
what's
hope
wrong
that
with
was
my
brown girls
friend.
though? Like
Once you
wrong
take
with
off
brown
the
girls?
mask, it's game on.
But
But yeah, like
yeah.
just in the beginning, like don't be butthurt. Like just like Dante said, just focus on getting from 0 to 1, and just talk to as many people as possible. You will get lucky. If you're not a social retard. Then
But
after
Mish,
that, you can think about having a preference.
but
Mhm.
Mish, what about rejection? I don't want to get my fifis hurt.
And I have
Dude,
standards, Mish. Standards.
Dude,
Oh
like
my
the
God,
funniest
that was
thing
the
happened to
worst.
me.
Yeah.
I got rejected by a French girl who was like a maybe 4 out of 10.
I mean, after I've
And
seen what your people did to France, I understand.
I mean, that was the best feeling ever. Like like I thought to myself, like 5 minutes I was on the beach, and I was thinking like, what the fuck I was gonna do with this chick. Like, I'm so glad she rejected me. But yeah, I wasn't butthurt, dude. Like I picked myself up and just had fun until the morning, and I found another one.
Yeah, I want to circle back to when Dante said about the standards thing, because I suffered from that a bunch in my college years, when I thought I was like so much more above it all because I'm this good like a Christian guy who's only dating for marriage.
Damn.
And yeah, I could have easily doubled, tripled my notch count in that time period if I had gotten off my high horse, because there were some great girls, not like knockout 10 out of 10s or stuff, but they were, looking back on it now, clearly interested and clearly wanted me to make a move. But I had like my eyes set on like this, oh, I got to get this one girl who's going to be like my forever one and stuff. And
The sun hat. The sun hat.
yeah,
girl in the
exactly.
field.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
My genuine tradu virgin who is waiting for her autistic spurg. The perfect fantasy.
Yeah.
I love that meme.
It's a
It
good one.
resonates so well online.
Yeah, like I had that mentality when I was 18 where like I couldn't bring myself to like bang a chick that I didn't like have a crush on. You know what I'm saying? Like it was so weird. And then one day I realized like actually I just want to run through every girl that I'm attracted to even a little bit now. And then I realized, wait, that's bad. That means I'm a degenerate. And then I'm like, no, that just means you're a man. You're a normal man.
Yep.
You're a normal man and you just get over it. Like and the funny thing is, the greatest thing about, and the guys are leaving this benefit on the table of being a man, you can bang a fat chick and your friends find out, they'll make fun of you. And then it's just a funny story. And you move on with your life. Like they'll make fun of you and then that's it. And then your friends forget, everyone forgets, and then they'll bring it up maybe once in a while. But like that's the great thing about being a man. If you smash a loser, you have to forget, like you have to wipe your memory of it. Like you're disgusted by yourself. You forget, like you don't even add it to your little body count thing because you just can't bring yourself to accept that you banged the loser. But as a guy, you bang a fat chick. Yeah, you bang a fat chick. It may not count for you, but still, you're just like, damn, I can't believe I did that. Anyways, moving on.
Anyway,
Yeah.
anyway.
You have fun. Like the best part of being a man is like you don't have to take yourself so seriously. Like you're not, just laugh it off. If you get
Everything can be a
rejected,
funny
laugh it
story,
off.
man.
Yeah, every rejection, turn it into a story, turn it into a game, and realize that behind rejection, there's always going to be a good outcome if you just get used to the rejection. Like it's not like you're going to get rejected for the rest of your life. Somebody's gonna want to smash you. You know, somebody's gonna want to get in bed with you. Just keep going.
Somebody once.
Yeah. Rest in peace, by the way, to the lead singer of Smash Mouth. But
That-
yeah,
that's the interesting thing, by the way, is that there is a market for most products. That market might not be large. That market might not be, the best kind of people, but there is a market for every product. And because of nature, the products come. They're pretty well made. Not well made. They're pretty well suited for the job. So, I guess the other thing that most people don't hear about when getting your first lay is that you already have the advantage because men and women are kind of meant to be together, if you know what I'm saying. Our species is born to fuck. That's what we're born to do. And you can trust that the past thousands of years of human existence is on your side with regard to that. So bear that in mind. Very useful to think about.
Yeah.
Anyone add to that?
oh, that's good.
I think the thing that I can add on top of that too is that basically like no matter the community, there's going to be chicks in it. They're going to want to smash people in it, and you just see this everywhere. I mean, even me in like the crazy, right-wing circles of frog Twitter and stuff and Bapsphere.
Oh, those are probably like bang fest every time you guys have like that.
The chicks, they're still chicks. They're sending nudes to people in like DMs there. It's like and they don't even see like people's faces. Because like they're all like anons on Twitter and stuff.
I heard about that. That used to happen in the
That
Reddit
happened to me
forums as
a few
well.
times on Twitter.
Mm.
When I was posting receipts and shit like from Tinder, like I've had so many chicks on my DMs. The moment I stopped, it just disappeared.
Yeah.
Which is gonna tell you something, like chicks are gonna do degenerate stuff, if you're a degenerate of some sorts.
Oh yeah, and
if you don't judge them,
yeah, that's what she was about to say. Yeah, get access to the world, the secret world if you're not judging them.
Oh yeah, dude.
And they
Oh,
need
dude,
it.
not
They need a
about
guy.
zero judgment, dude. If you go to Bali, dude, like you're gonna meet so many chicks with boyfriends, with husbands, with fiancés, and they will tell you. They
Probably
will
famous
tell you.
chicks too, like chicks that are like well connected, rich chicks.
There's
with
a lot of
family.
OnlyFans people in Bali.
Oh yeah, dude. I've banged one of them.
Oh yeah, I bet that was fun.
Yeah, it was. And she told me she does OnlyFans. I'm like, oh, that's cool. No, all power to you.
There's a lot of managers too, OF managers, and a bunch of people in Bali are pretty fit, as far as I can tell.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
can't
I
go
don't
there not jacked. I think.
Where
Which is
is
why
Bali?
I'm
That's
not-
it's in
That's-
Southeast Asia, right?
Yeah,
That's near where I live. Yes.
Okay.
Flight away. So.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of people online telling you the best way to fix your reproductive problem, and that's okay. It's free speech. But the missing piece I think here is that you need to take action. You need to take a good screenshot of yourself. I would say I can't give prescriptions based on my own life, but I think one of the things that helped me was entering an institution or a job or something where it just made me feel like I wasn't that important, because it got me out of my head and made me feel like what's important is what I take from this, not what not me itself, right? So I joined the military. Military kind of said, hey, you're not as smart as you think, bro. You need to work hard. You need to get in shape. You need to do all these things and stop complaining, and you'll have a good career. And then I did that. And I'm like, okay, I had a decent career. Then I realized, like, wait, what if I apply this to everything? Where when I do the dating thing, I'm not here I don't have like oh, look at me, I deserve better treatment from women or rather, I just focus on the girls that treat me well and I actually enjoy, regardless if they're even that attractive. And then over time, you just level like a RPG, you level up. You're not gonna get a 9 out of 10 girl day one. You're gonna get like maybe a chubby, maybe a 5 out of 10, maybe a crazy girl, and then as you go on through life, and that's the thing, people think that to get to a certain point you need just money or just I don't know, clout or just whatever. But I realized, like, listen, man, there are guys with like 500 followers on Instagram. There are guys who drive a Corolla. There are guys who don't have a super fit, they're fit, but they don't have a super fit body, that are getting laid. So learn from those guys, because those guys are closer to you than a guy who's rich or an athlete or Andrew Tate. Those guys are the ones that are like one iteration away from you. So those are the ones that you should probably look at, whether it be a friend, whether it be an account, whether it be right. And that's what I did. I just looked at the guys that were near me. You know, my friends from college, I got laid a lot. I'm like, what are they doing? They're closer to me than this rich millionaire guy 1,000 miles away or in another country, because I can't relate to that guy. That guy has nothing to teach me about my situation because he has a different life situation. But I learned from my friend who's like same background, same interest. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what he did. And I did it. And I'm like, okay, now I'm on the path because I followed real life examples and not from a person who I can't relate to or really isn't close, you know? So, you know, everyone I think has, you know, that every clock is right twice a day in terms of time, but that doesn't mean that they're right all the time. So be careful with that too, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So what else would you guys say from your own personal experiences was something that you had to, you know, adapt to your own game, as it were, at the very beginning, you know? Because, like, I mean, obviously all of us didn't get here because things were going swimmingly, you know?
Yeah.
Well, the thing that kept me from getting my first, is I had a lot of fear. I was really afraid to approach girls. I was not afraid so much to talk, because I could talk to anybody even then. My fear was being sexual, being man to woman with a woman. That was
Same.
difficult for me,
Same.
because it's like you have to be bold, you have to be out there, you have to be direct. And when you're not used to that, you're gonna do the thing, which is you're gonna be their friend first or whatever. You're gonna dance around the subject, and then this girl's gonna try to figure out why is this guy, you know, talking to me like this. And then, but if you're direct, it kind of puts them at ease. It's like, oh, okay, this guy is interested in me, and you have to learn that being direct is okay, because it kind of sets the frame. It tells the girl, hey, I'm interested in you. And it gets the validation. When I say validation, I mean whether they like your product or not. It gets the validation really quickly. Meaning, is she into me or not? And I wasted a lot of time because I danced around the subject of, you know, being like us being man to woman kind of thing. And also, when it comes to making the sale, I think Jack knows this very well, and Chad knows this very well. Nuke and Red Hawk, you'll be hearing this for the first time. Literally, the last step before the lay, I fucked it up because I was too scared to actually take her back to my place. So there was a lot of fear, and I don't know how guys can get past that. But all I did was basically exposure therapy, where just practice talking to customers, just get your face in front of them, just try to be direct in you know, in saying, hey, this is what our product can do, this is I'm into you, and then see where it goes. And then as the hurdles get higher and higher, just expose yourself to it and get used to it, and then eventually you'll get there and it'll become like something you do every day. So
real quick, Danny Arnold for the $9.99. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. A little something for the algorithm, for the coffee fund, and for the Shire. Can't forget the Hobbit. Thank you very much, Danny Arnold. Appreciate it. Does anybody else want to add to Hawk's question, like what was preventing them for the first time?
Yeah, like similar to Dante, I just didn't know how to lead the interaction. I thought that women were supposed to be like stepping with you into an interaction, not like stepping after you. So whenever I go on dates now, I always bring up the question like, hey, so how's dating been for you? You know, obviously when it's appropriate. And it's always the guys don't know how to plan a date, or the guys ask them, hey, where do we go next? You know, it's just like, that's huge no. So guys are still suffering from this day, where they just don't know how to lead the interaction, right? And I think what it is that guys that spend time online, which is most people, right? They see these women that are so like masculine and dominant on the internet and doing all these things, and they're just like, oh, well, they're just like us. And I'm like, dude, even the most tight-jawed, high-level corporate girl or lawyer or doctor wants to be dragged to bed, taken, carried to bed, and like dominated in the bedroom, right? I don't care how bitchy or feminist she is, how conservative she is. All women need that. They absolutely want that so bad. So every time you're talking to a woman, be polite, but deep down in your mind, know that she wants someone to lead. She wants to feel like she's comfortable letting you lead, and you have to step up and take charge. You know, as long as she's not lets you, but like is stepping with you, right? So you say, hey, we're gonna do this, and if she says okay, most of the time you're just gonna get a giggle and be like, okay, let's just do it. And then it bleeds over to area of your life, right? And then in the bedroom it bleeds, like, if you see it, like, I know that you guys have maybe hooked up with a chick that was very kind of dominant in her field. Maybe she was nice to you, but she was dominant. She had money. Was clouded. Like, she seemed like the power, like the boss girl, but in the bedroom just melted, just turned into a little submissive girl, called you daddy, whatever. And you realize, like, a lot of guys, that's like their big point, where they realize, like, man, all these girls are the same, no matter how much they cry online about, you know, equality and stuff like that. They really just want a guy that'll just like drag them to bed, take, you know, obviously with consent, but like, and take the interaction. And she's stepping into your world, you know, and that is like what helped me the most, is like, hey, you are a man, you have to lead, you're in charge, take control. And I think that's what my issue was.
Yeah, I don't think we can sum up better. Is Jack still here?
He's being
Is he back in the toilet? Dude, what did you eat? That Dutch food.
But yeah, like what Nuke said, there's a lot of dudes who are a bit afraid of leading, you know, and taking charge of things. Think about it like you're dancing. Usually the man who leads the woman. Am I right, Nuke?
Always,
It's not the other
100%
way
of the
around.
time. There has never been a class or situation where even with two gay guys or two lesbians, the more masculine, they choose the leader before dancing. Like, whoever's the leader of this, you know. And I'm like, yeah, they have to choose the leader. There's no equal partnership, you know, even in same-sex dancing. Like, it's always someone is designated the leader. Obviously, when it's a man and woman, the man. So yeah, you have to lead, man. That's it. You have to step up.
And there's levels to this too, right? There's like leading a one night stand. There's leading like a fuck buddy relationship, and there's leading an LTR, and those get progressively harder.
Yes, they do.
Because you know, you have to be on you have to be on for the more. You have to be on more of the time than just that one time. So you have to internalize a lot of this shit, and right now that's what I'm struggling with.
Takes time, you know, like,
it's just like, you know, when Morolo says he is the game, like, you have to be actually the game. You cannot fake it, you know, for a long time, because you'll refer back to your old blue pill ideas, or like, you know, or whatever you were doing. So these things take time for you to internalize it, and, you know, make it a habit. That's something you're comfortable with being, like, doing on daily basis, and it becomes like a second nature to you.
Yeah,
it's mostly like a muscle, you know. You just train it, get used to that thing, and just, you know, you have the muscle memory. You don't have to think about it; it's there.
Yeah, I think to piggyback off that too, another thing guys have to keep in mind is you have to be able to forgive yourself if you've come to this game a little bit later than maybe some of your peers or some of the people that you know. You know, it's not the end of the world if you're, you know, figuring your shit out, like your late 20s or even like your early 30s or something like that. There's this stupid egalitarian bullshit that's being thrown on all levels of all of our societies, where it's like men and women are the same. And if you don't have your shit together by this point, then you basically like hit the wall as a dude and it's so over. It's like, no, man, you can easily date chicks that are younger than you if you get your shit together. So just forgive yourself. Starting today is, better than starting never.
Yeah, and realize you're gonna be the villain your whole life. Like Zoomers have this thing where like, oh, I'm in my villain arc. I'm like, no, dude, that's the rest of your life. So
yeah, you have to be comfortable being the villain.
Yeah, honestly. You have to be. And I think that's another issue that guys have is like they want to be the good guy, the hero. They want to have morals when it comes to women. I'm like, dude, there's no morality in dating as long as you don't break the law, right? But like, realize that you can smash a girl and then the next day she can go back to her boyfriend. That may mess with you, but at the same time, dude, like she was gonna do it to anyone anyway, right? So you may not want to participate in that because you have your personal morals, right? But understand that in this whole dating thing, you can't good guy your way into a girl. You can't morality your way into some girl's pants. You have to have an edge. You have to be kind of like mean sometimes. And if you're in a bad mood and don't want to deal with her, literally tell her, hey, I'm not coming over tonight. I'm tired. Maybe another day, right? And it's genuine, right? Because you really are tired. You really don't want to deal with her shit. And really dig into that in that part of you that really wants to say what he wants to say. Because if you don't, you're going to be qualifying to her emotions all the time. And that's an unattractive quality. You want to dig into that villain side. Every man has a villain side. Trust me. Even Mr. Rogers, he had a villain side, right? And just, let it out. Let it out in the bedroom. Let it out in conversation, like manufactured drama. Like if you have a girl, like a LTR or a plate, tell her, hey, I don't like your attitude as late. And then just let it run and just go do your, and she has that drama. She has that villain side of you and she'll, it'll run through her mind all day. And you're giving her the gift of like excitement of like push and pull, but you love her, but you just, you push and pull. But then when you see her, you say, hey, I'm going to, teach you a lesson or whatever weird stuff you say. But yeah, like it's just,
I will hold you accountable.
Yeah. You need to be the villain, right? You need to be the villain because, and when I say villain, I don't mean villain like the dumb lackey that always gets beat up by the hero. I mean the charming villain with the champagne glass that has everything, has planned out every scenario, that's having the speech with the hero at the end of the movie. Like, you fell right into my trap. Like the conniving, smart, charming devil character that that women are drawn to because those are the guys that are Machiavellian, but also very comfortable with being who they are and what they want. Yeah. Like they know what they want and they're not afraid to put it out there. And that girls are really attracted to that.
Loki from the original Avengers. Real quick, XL Self for the $10, double heartfelt. Thank you very much, XL Self. I really appreciate that. You mean saying, oh, you shaved it and you just told me you weren't planning on having fun? It's like, I mean, if she's wearing matching underwear or lingerie, it's like, that was planned, man. It was not your idea. It was hers.
Yep.
And I will happily oblige with her plan.
Doesn't matter.
Just like Ryan always says, like, hate her just a little. You have to be comfortable with not putting her on a pedestal. You have to be comfortable, with her hating you as well. Making you the bad guy. You're not always going to be the most amazing person. Maybe you will be 80% of the time, but like that 20%, you have to be very comfortable being that horrible, abhorrent guy that she hates, and she will say like maybe terrible things to you, but by the end of the day she's still there and she's still fucking you.
So that's actually harder than it sounds when it's an LTR.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
because it's like obviously you've built a bunch of connection, you've built a bunch of you have shared experiences. You're kind of letting yourself, you're letting your hair down a little bit. So it is a challenge to, be that guy that doesn't care.
There is a way to do it in an LTR. Like
there is. There is. Absolutely.
There's an art to doing that in an LTR, especially in a long-term one.
Yeah. I just want to emphasize to the guys that this is a skill. Because like I think a lot of guys like to LARP it online, so they like to go, if if this bitch doesn't doesn't like to doesn't show up on time, she's for the streets. It's like
okay, let me be honest here. If you expect a woman to be on time, you're already in the wrong. It's this is what you plan.
Yeah.
You tell her the 30 minutes in advance time you actually want to be there. So let's say you have reservations at 7. You tell her 6:30, and then you know she's going to be on time.
Exactly.
That's how you do it.
They're also very lazy. So like you have to find, like you can't be the guy that is lazy because she's lazy. You can't let yourself go that way. You kind of have to have your own structure. And if the plan is that she goes along with it, then you kind of have to, push her, drag her kicking and screaming into that structure, as Ryan would say. But yeah, it's its own thing. So
yeah, it's harder when you love a woman to like be mean to her. It's really hard because she's doing all the right things. It's so hard, but
it's easy to be. It's easy for a one night stand. So easy to do for one night stand.
No, it's like even if you love a woman, even if she's doing she's the most amazing woman out there, and she loves you, and she's doing all this great stuff to you. It's like a medicine you have to administer. Like like you have to take out the emotions out of it. Literally, like you have to take out the emotions, and you have to do it this in a systemic way. Like I'm doing this to keep the relationship alive and to keep her because
exciting.
And that's what she loves. She loves the drama. She loves the fights. She loves the emotion that goes.
Yeah, you can be anything to a woman but boring.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just like every month, just learn to know and start shit out of nowhere, dude. Like literally, just
manufacture it.
Just manufacture it. Say no randomly to things. Piss her off on purpose. Like okay, it's gonna feel like shit during what's happening, seeing her being pissed off, sad, or crying. But dude, it's like a little kid. You're doing it for their own good. Do you feel bad, or like do you hate yourself when your kid is crying? Like if you have a kid, okay, you're gonna feel bad, but that this is gonna be good on the long run.
The payoff, it's the future. You're doing it for the future.
Gotta eat your vegetables.
Yep.
Yeah. Take this medicine, because if you don't, you won't get better.
Real quick, Dark Knight Dev is now a member for 5 months. Really appreciate the support, man. Learn to get girls now when you don't have social status or money. Yes. Yeah, that is the only thing I disagree, or sorry, one of the things I disagree with Rich Cooper, where it's like chase excellence, then women. Look, if you have no experience with women and then you become a billionaire, you will be eaten alive.
You can do both. It's not an either or.
Yeah. Obviously, focus, like prioritize your
wallet.
Yeah, prioritize your goals, but like you can go on a date, dude, once a month.
Let's see.
Live a little, man.
Hold up. You'll see women who like you instead of chicks who don't want Cheesecake Factory. I mean,
what is wrong with Cheesecake Factory? It looks good.
That's a shit test in general, anyway. But Juan Dove were the €2 super chat. Thank you very much. You mean an anti-hero nuke? Lol.
Yeah. An anti-hero villain, just the guy with an edge, the hero with questionable morals, the guy that like, what are the characters that everyone likes the most? Do people like Thor, or do people like Loki? Do people like Spider-Man, or do like Venom? Like everyone loves Venom, everyone loves Vegeta, everyone loves
Joker.
Yeah, everyone loves Joker. Yeah, especially after that one last movie. Because people
Sparrow.
Because people generally, they want substance. They want something. They want a person who keeps them guessing. They want a person who has the choice to do good or bad. Because a hero doesn't have the choice, because they're written as the pure. Like people prefer Batman over Superman because Batman has an edge. He beats the crap out of people to near death just to get like a passcode to get inside of a building or something. He could have asked nicely, but he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you and break your legs."
Pretty much.
But yeah, that's what you have to be. Just model yourself after a guy with an edge, because if you don't, you're gonna become more predictable. Your girl's gonna be like, put you in a box of like the safe beta provisioning guy, where you have to be both, because that's the hardest part about LTRs. You have to be both. You have to be alpha and beta, but when it's required. And that's the hard part. When am I an alpha? When am I a beta? Right? If she's pregnant, you're probably gonna have to push the beta up a little higher because of her hormones. Or, you know, if her cycle's coming up where she's in estrus or something like that, you might want to up the alpha a little bit because, you know, she's going to be horny or she's going to need that excitement. You know, there's so many, as a guy, and a relationship is an art. Relationships are art, they're performance art. And you have the key to unlock the best parts of her, but you have to do the work and you have to accept that women are this way and they require the things, parts of you at certain times. And it takes practice and time to learn that. So,
guys, let's wrap this one up. Hawk, where can people find you?
guys.
Yeah, exactly. Flying overhead, you know, seeking out my next victim with my sharp talons. Yes. You get, excuse me. You guys can find me at my own channel, Red Hawk Man's Hours on Thursdays. And if you guys are Americans and are interested in the political side of things, check out my company, the Old Glory Club.
Nice. Dante, Panda.
I'm on Twitter. I have my Twitter in the chat. I'll also link to my Substack because I think that I'd rather you follow me there than on Twitter, to be very honest. So, yeah, the Substack is the place it will be.
Nice. Nuke?
You guys can find me on Twitter. Handles in the chat. Jack just put it in the chat. Twitch, YouTube, obviously, you guys can find me. I just opened one-on-one coaching, 1 hour. We break down.
You did it.
We break down your situation, how we can improve, and all that stuff, so you guys can get dating, you know, without a Bugatti or without 10,000 Instagram followers. So hit me up if you want that. nuclearcaudillo@gmail.com. We'll set up. Give me your 3 best times. We'll set up an appointment and we'll get you on the right path. I have my Patreon where I'm going to start posting, or I've had some articles, but I'm going to start posting field reports and lessons learned and all that stuff. Because, guys, I really am still doing this. I'm still dating. And where else? Yeah, it's pretty much it. Yeah. So, guys, membership is open for YouTube. So follow me on YouTube and become a member. And then once I have enough members, I'll do a slightly higher tier, and we'll have a private video. We can just talk about more in-depth stuff. So thank you, guys.
Thank you, too. Mish?
You can find me on Twitter at Shadow Arabia. Whenever I'm free, I'm going to be shit posting, pissing people off.
Nice.
Follow for funny content.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and it is good. Guys, like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, you can click the join button and you will get access for free to my version of the Book a Book audiobook, the Gendernomics audiobook bundle, and the weekly Coffee Cast stream. So if you want to support the channel, click the join button. Let's see. Danny Arnold, XL Self, and Juan Doe, thank you very much for the super chats. I really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Cheers.